In 1944, an entire American army rolled toward the front line. Tanks, trucks, thousands of troops. The Germans saw them coming and braced for a fight. There was just one problem with that army. It was fake, all of it. The tanks were rubber balloons, the soldiers were just few guys with a sound machine, and it fooled one of the most powerful armies on Earth. This was a real top-secret US Army unit. Their official name was the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops. History remembers them as the Ghost Army. About 1,100 men, and almost none of them were typical soldiers. They were artists, designers, and sound engineers. And somehow, this art class went to war and won. The big question is how a few hundred guys pretended to be the entire divisions of 30,000 and got away with it again and again. The idea wasn't even American at first. The British pioneered battlefield trickery in the desert. At El Alamein, they hid real tanks and faked fake ones. America loved it and decided to go bigger. Two men dreamt up the American version. One was a celebrity journalist named Ralph Ingersoll. He literally called the unit "my con artists." The other was Colonel Billy Harris, the serious planner. Together, they built an army designed to lie. They recruited from art schools and ad agencies, which is how future legends ended up enlisting, like fashion designer Bill Blass, artist Ellsworth Kelly, photographer Art Kane. They didn't carry the war, they drew it. Their toolkit had 4 tricks. Trick 1. The inflatable army. Rubber tanks, jeeps, trucks, even airplanes. A few men could pump up a whole battalion by morning. From a distance and from the air, they looked real. Up close, a strong breeze could send a tank tumbling, so they kept the enemy at a careful distance. Trick 2. The sound show. They recorded real tanks and troops onto records. They blasted them from giant speakers on trucks. The sound carried for 15 miles in the dark. To the enemy, it sounded like thousands of men arriving. Trick 3. The radio game. Fake operators sent fake messages on purpose. They imitated the style of real units perfectly. The Germans listened in, exactly as planned. Trick 4. Pure acting. They sewed on fake patches and posed as other divisions. Some played generals on cafes for German spies to see. They'd loudly leak secrets that were completely false. It was theater with the highest stakes imaginable. Now here's what makes this almost unbelievable. They did this on the front lines. A few hundred lightly armed artists pretending to be the most powerful force around. If the Germans ever called the bluff, they were almost nothing to fight back with. One of their boldest jobs came in late 1944. A real American army had moved out of the line, leaving a dangerous 20-mile gap. The Ghost Army stepped in to hide it. For over a week, a handful of men held the illusion. They impersonated an entire corps, and the Germans never attacked the soft spot. Across the war, they pulled this off more than 20 times. France, Luxembourg, Belgium, Germany, Italy, each time impersonating a much bigger force. Their deceptions may have saved enormous numbers of lives. Estimates run from 15 to 30,000 men. By drawing German attention to armies that didn't exist, they bought real soldiers time and cover. Their weapons were rubber, sound, and nerve. And it worked because they were artists, not in spite of it. You'd think a story this good would be famous instantly. It wasn't. The whole thing was locked away as classified. For nearly 50 years, these men couldn't tell anyone. Not their families, not their friends. Some even carried the secrets to the end of their lives. Finally, in 1996, the records were opened and the art class that fooled an army got its due. In 2022, Congress awarded them its gold medal. Most of them never lived to hold it. Think back to that army rolling toward the front, the one the Germans braced against. It could be knocked over by a strong wind, held up by a few hundred guys with paint brushes, and it changed the shape of real battles. There's something almost beautiful about that. Toughest problems don't always need more force. Sometimes, they need a better idea. A rubber tank instead of a real one. A sound effect instead of a real attack. A clever lie that saved thousands of true lives. The Ghost Army proved imagination is a weapon, and the quietest soldier can leave the loudest mark. They spent the war making things that weren't real to protect the people who were. For 50 years, almost no one knew their names. Now, you do. Bill Blass, Ellsworth Kelly, Art Kane, and 1,000 others who drew the enemy a picture and dared them to believe it. The next time someone says art doesn't matter, tell them about the painters who beat an army with balloons, records, and a whole lot of nerves. The Ghost Army, the bravest performance of the war.